Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday. I'm your host, Amla Epinobi. And first and foremost, what I want to say before we get into today's episode is allegedly. I want all of us to remember the word allegedly throughout today's episode, as we are going to talk about some very serious matters. Before we get into those serious matters, we got Taylor in Nashville.
And for the record, we are all also both in good health mentally and physically, and just want to state that for the record. So if anything were to happen to us, it was not voluntarily. I would not unalive myself.
No, we would not. We love our lives and we love everything that's going on now. You'll remember, if you're sort of an OG listener of the show, that around 6 months ago, we did a story about Instagram and something that was uncovered happening on the platform, and a massive Wall Street Journal article that was posted about certain criminal individuals who like to trade child content being extremely active on the platform that is Instagram. I had recently, at the time, done a video about these Instagram child models that were followed almost exclusively by grown men who were hopping in the comments of their Instagram posts and saying things like trade or sharing certain emojis. And it turns out that saying the word trade is actually asking to trade child content with other men who share, I believe, what the article referred to as niche interests, okay? And by niche interests, we mean child content and explicit child content. Now, we're gonna get into a story about something that is allegedly happening on the American e-commerce website, Etsy. For those of you who are unfamiliar with what Etsy is, as I said, e-commerce website, most known for like people who sell like crafts and journals and little fun little like vintage things you can buy on Etsy. I'm sure if you're a woman, you're familiar with the website. I think for the most part, it is dominated by the female species, although, you know, many enjoy Etsy. It's a huge website. Now, these are some alleged posts that were put out on Etsy, and you guys can take a look at them and come to your own conclusions here. I am simply sharing things that I have found on the internet that other people have chosen to post. Okay, so look at these posts. One here says cheese pizza picture for instant download for $3,000. It says only one left, and 20 plus people have this in their cart. This one says chicken file, instant download, encrypted, and it's $4,000 for some reason. Low in stock, only one left. A picture of pizza. You got these two pizzas here. $9,000, only one available. $4,000 here for, a pizza file that is instant download, also encrypted. And you see a young girl, young AI child enjoying a slice of pizza. We're going to get into some of the symbolism and imagery in just a moment here, but I just want to lay the groundwork so that you guys are familiar with the posts that people have found. Here is a close-up of the two that I've just shown you. Here's another one. This says Young Forever Pizza, another seemingly AI image of babies enjoying slices of pizza, listed for $20,461.70, available for digital download. The Once Lucky Pizza, $19,674.71, digital download available. And people found much more. Again, here's that $3,000 pizza picture for instant download that apparently 11 people had in their cart, only one left. Now, if you go to Etsy and try to look into these posts now, they are now gone, as they've gotten a considerable amount of internet attention. There was another one that I'm not going to display on the show today that had 4 pictures of what seems to be a young toddler in some children's clothing, and it was listed as children's overalls, also listed for thousands of dollars on Etsy. Now, allegedly, these posts were on the platform and are no longer on the platform. And of course, I'm asking myself, what does this mean? Many people were posting this on the internet, asking themselves, what does this mean? People were connecting the story to some of the Wayfair conspiracy theories that were happening. For those of you who are unfamiliar with that whole theory, Wayfair.com, which is known for selling, home goods, furniture, decor, stuff like that. They had several sort of odd listings that were up for tens of thousands of dollars. You'd see a pillow that was on the website and it cost $15,000, and people were speculating that maybe this was some sort of human trafficking ring. Now, this was never confirmed in any way, shape, or form, but many are making the connection between the two things happening here. And again, I don't know what's happening on these platforms. I don't know what these listings actually are, but they do seem a little strange to me. Now, a lot of people caught wind of this, and AP News, which is known to be a publication that goes in and does fact checking, came in and said, you know, the things that are being said about these listings are completely untrue. And just to lay the groundwork for what was being said, if you are familiar with the work of pedophiles on the internet, there is a lot of symbolism, there are code words, there's somewhat of a secret language that has been established for the trading and, you know, buying of child content and explicit child content on the internet. One of those code words is cheese pizza or pizza imagery. And if you think about the words cheese pizza, C-P, child P, you can understand why somebody might link those two words to this community, or why this community might be using the words cheese pizza in order to have a little secret code language with one another where they can trade this sort of explicit material back and forth. Now I'm going to get into the AP News article. And then, you know, I read this and I thought, okay, they're saying that this is false, and we'll read and why. And then I did some further research after that we're going to get into. I just want to ask the audience, am I crazy for thinking this is suspicious? Am I crazy for seeing this and thinking at the very least this is strange? Taylor, you must have seen this and thought this is strange too. Like, I'm not nuts.
Yeah, how can you not see a $4,000 image featuring a child winking at you with a slice of pizza, be it AI generated or not, that you can add to your card and then have a digital download? How is that not creepy? Like, who would pay $4,000 for that? With all the AI stuff that's out there now, you can generate your own images if that's what you're into. But why would you want to pay $4,000 unless it were something else? What is the purpose for the existence of these if they were indeed allegedly on the platform? It just, the math is not mathing. There's no reason for something like this to exist unless something very strange and nefarious was going on.
And you'll all probably remember a conspiracy theory by the name of Pizzagate that was circulating around that many claim to be true, others are claiming to be false, about a certain political party being invested in child trafficking and this whole thing about, you know, the ping pong pizza and all this stuff. I want to, for the record right here, completely separate Pizzagate from what we're talking about right now, and I will get into the reasons why. Now, this AP News article that is debunking the claim that this is happening on Etsy says this, okay? Claim. Listings on Etsy selling downloads of pizza photos for thousands of dollars are just a disguise for peddling child pornography, is what we'll call it for today's show. AP's assessment. So AP assessed this and said false. Etsy investigated the claims and found them baseless, a representative said. While no threat to child safety was established, the posts were removed from the online marketplace because they did not appear legitimate and had what seemed to be unreasonably high prices. The facts, says the listings appeared as the years-old conspiracy theory known as Pizzagate, which posits that Democrats were harboring child sex slaves in Washington, D.C., in a Washington, D.C. pizza parlor, has had a resurgence on social media. It says screenshots of a variety of listings from different accounts have been shared online, appearing to show digital image downloads being sold for thousands of dollars each, such as close-up of a cheese pizza or a girl winking to eat a slice of pizza. As of Thursday, the listings have been removed from Etsy. Okay. So let's get this straight, right? Okay. These things are listed on Etsy, not by one singular account, but by multiple different accounts, with similar imagery of what we know to be a symbol of exchanging explicit child content. Also, these accounts are listing these instant download files for thousands of dollars, all varying and all different accounts. I must say that again. And Etsy investigates this according to a representative. And the listings are not real listings. And the reason that Etsy proceeds to take them down is just because they're unreasonably priced. Yet we saw screenshots that 20 plus people had the file in their cart to check out on the website. And we saw the other cheese pizza image that 11 people had in their cart to check out. So I just have some questions for what is happening on this site. Why are multiple accounts doing this and all under different names and probably different people creating the accounts? What is going on in the 20 plus carts of the people who have these images and are ready to pay for them? Have there been people that have attempted to make these purchases on Etsy and they just didn't get anything delivered to them? Nothing went through and they spent, $3,000 there, $9,000 there. Some of these posts say only one left, which signals to me that somebody may or may not have purchased them. So what are they getting in return for this purchase, and why is that not being cleared up? Just want those questions answered.
It's definitely an unsatisfying response that you get from Etsy. I don't necessarily think that the immediate insinuation or the immediate sort of allegation would be that Etsy would somehow be complicit or involved in this. It would be maybe that bad actors are using the platform as in a way that it's not intended for, in order to conduct transactions that are illegal or nefarious. So if that, nobody's really necessarily right out the gate accusing Etsy of complicity. But if I'm Etsy, I would really want to hop on this story and say, we conducted a full investigation. We looked into these accounts and looked into who's behind them. We looked at the transaction history, who purchased from them, all this stuff. We turned over any relevant information to authorities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and really reassured people that there's no fire where there's all this smoke. And instead it's kind of just like they were charging too much and that's why they broke our terms of service, and so we're not really that worried about it, or something to that effect. So it's just at least an unsatisfying answer. And from a PR standpoint, even it's kind of strange to me that you wouldn't at least be a little bit more vocal and I don't know, strong and forceful in your denials.
Yeah, but we saw what happened, with Instagram when the Wall Street Journal did this discovery of all the child content that was being traded. Did we hear a peep from virtually anybody at Instagram? Did they make a big deal out of it? They said, yeah, we're going to work on this and, further fine tune our algorithm so this doesn't happen anymore. But it was nothing. And of course, I don't think these sites want to be seen as complicit in the selling of this stuff or, the back and forth of child content being sold. So I guess it's within their best interest to be quiet. Of course, allegedly, I am not accusing Etsy of being complicit in the trading and selling of child content. Just want to make that very clear. Now, the AP News article goes on to say, the Pizzagate rumors were popular among supporters of Republican Donald Trump during his winning 2016 campaign for president. The conspiracy theory led a North Carolina man to travel to Washington and fire a rifle inside a local pizza parlor where he believed children were being enslaved. Among the supposed evidence cited by proponents was that the eatery Comet Ping Pong was mentioned in some emails from Hillary Clinton's campaign that were obtained by hackers. Now, again, this connection to Pizzagate is being made when it seems like these posts are fully separate from that. As I told you guys, it has been uncovered that cheese pizza symbolism, emojis, the word cheese pizza has been used by those who buy child content to communicate that that's what they want to do. That is totally separate from a conspiracy theory that has to do with the Democrat Party or this Comet Ping Pong. We can separate those two things right now, and I will help you do that in showing you some of the research that I found in going down this rabbit hole. It says researchers have finally cracked the secret pedophile code. This is from wire.co.uk. There is an organization known as the Internet Watch Foundation, which posits through the work of their 13 analysts that pedophiles who are active on the internet have tons of secret code languages that they use, keywords that they use, emojis that they use, imagery that they use to communicate with one another. And you'll find these different posts and they'll be seemingly innocuous words. I think this article cites the example of purple cushion. You'll see some grown man who's commenting purple cushion, and then another grown man responds to that and says, purple cushion trade or whatever. And you'll come to find that these men are having a secret conversation about the trading of child pornography. Now, that's just an example for you. Now, this next article here talks about a guy by the name of Had Nagy. And he started a nonprofit called the Innocent Lives Foundation. And it's essentially a company that goes through and tries to combat the production and trade of child pornography. Now, he specifically found that cheese pizza was being used on these sites specifically for men who were communicating to trade child pornography. Okay? They would say stuff like, quote, "Who would like a slice of cheese pizza?" And that would be a code word to another person that they would be willing to trade this kind of content. And this is the creator of the organization, the Innocent Lives Foundation. Okay, so that's one person who's, staked his whole career on finding these people who are trading child content and saying that cheese pizza is a code word for them. Looked a little bit further into it. I said, I need to find at least another person who's going to substantiate this. The Daily Mail wrote an article here that talks about this being used. Pedophiles are using cheese and pizza emojis to communicate secretly on Instagram. So this is not even, these two articles that I'm citing right now are not even connected to Etsy specifically. They're talking about like Instagram, YouTube, Kik, WhatsApp. These are where these people are choosing to communicate with one another in this secret language. And it says, the bright yellow cheese symbol means little girl, while the pepperoni covered pizza means girl. Together, they spell out CP, meaning child pornography. The minute you start talking about pizza and cheese, everyone thinks that you're talking about Pizzagate, which is a quote from the London-based campaigner India, who just asked to be identified by her first name, but has been responsible for finding thousands of accounts on Instagram that Instagram has taken down due to her work. And she's distinctly saying, I'm going to them and telling them, cheese pizza, as ridiculous as that sounds, is code language for buying child content. And people immediately go, well, get your tinfoil hat. You're talking about Pizzagate. You're talking about Pizzagate. It's completely separate. And now you have experts who work in this field in their daily lives saying it is totally separate. And yes, this is language that is used. So again, allegedly, what is happening on Etsy? And why are there cheese pizza files for instant download that are encrypted being sold for thousands of dollars? Anybody?
And why is there such a quick and uniform response from the media and fact-checking entities? Like, we were doing our research trying to find stuff about this story in particular. And if you search Etsy, child trafficking, anything like that, the only results you're going to get, whether it's from AP News, BBC, New York Times, whatever, it's going to be about how it's a right-wing conspiracy theory. And I didn't really find anything that was actually treating this like something that needs to be investigated. And it's giving the same energy as like when we had allegations of the COVID lab leak, and that the origin of COVID was a lab leak, and all these media entities came out. It was all blanketing the airwaves on TV. You were an absolute conspiracy theorist if you said anything to that effect, and they were all beating the exact same drum and totally like throwing under the bus anybody who suggested anything to the contrary of their narrative. And then come to find out, of course, that is now, I think, widely accepted to be the most probable origin of the COVID outbreak. So the way that this is just such a uniform and fast response from media outlets with all this fact checking, it doesn't, again, like you said before, they asked one Etsy representative who was unnamed, and all they said was they were not using the platform according to the rules. But it's like that's just, it's not a satisfying response. And why the impulse to sort of group this together with Pizzagate, conspiracy theory, blah, 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 before we've really dealt with the central concerns and facts of the public and that these screenshots raise.
Yeah, I think it's weird. I just want to know because okay, maybe there's one that posits okay, maybe this is Pizzagate conspiracy theorists and they're just making these posts on Etsy to further their own like evidence for their conspiracy. Maybe these posts are innocuous and mean absolutely nothing, but multiple people on different accounts just happen to be posting this stuff with imagery of children and also symbolism that is documented to be used by those who invest in and trade child pornography. And this is just like all a big coincidence. Now, you can compare it to like the Wayfair stuff or whatever. To me, I think it should be viewed totally separately and not compared at all, because this seems like way more astonishing to me the further that you look into this. And I'm going to add one more thing in the rabbit hole that I went down here. It says here, Etsy sellers have until next month to comply with its new imagery of minors policy. Now, this was in August 24 of 2023, and you can go and find the actual post made by Etsy, the actual e-commerce website, about this new policy that they'd be rolling out. And it says Etsy is instituting a, quote, imagery of minors, end quote, policy next month that will impact sellers who feature children in their product photos. The company said it was making the changes to strengthen its commitment to child safety. Okay. That's a wonderful thing. I'm glad to hear that that's happening. Here's a quote from the actual policy. It says, effective September 8, 2023, we are clarifying and expanding our policy to prohibit content that features minors in undergarments, images of minors in form-fitting clothing that are cropped to focus on private areas, or poses that could be interpreted as age inappropriate. While we know that most Etsy sellers have the best intentions, we also recognize that images are subjective and can sometimes be perceived differently by various audiences. These updates provide clear and consistent guidelines across our marketplace and minimize the risk that content featuring minors should be misused or misconstrued. Okay. So a policy like this doesn't come out of nowhere, right? You could say that there's people posting things that would be innocuous to a normal person, but then people who are pedophiles or enjoy child content are sort of taking them out of context, out of the context they've been posted on Etsy and using them in disgusting ways. And I imagine there are a ton of people who do that. Well, we talked about stories of the content that's being shared on YouTube Kids, where grown men were going to watch like random gymnastics videos or like bathing suit try-ons, just disgusting stuff. And maybe that's what's happening on Etsy. But it's very interesting that in August, they roll out this policy that clearly states they're trying to protect children and commit to their safety. I'm imagining that doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. I'm imagining someone raised their hand and said, hey, something is happening on our platform. And maybe what was happening was far more explicit and far more, overt than cheese pizza imagery, right? So if you're a person who is giving out this sort of content on Etsy in the non-innocuous way, in the way that is for your ability to trade content like this, wouldn't you start using other imagery? And wouldn't you start trying to sell this symbolically? And instead of featuring actual children, wouldn't you post these type of photos? I don't know. It's making sense to me. Allegedly, it's making sense.
Yeah, everything's alleged. And we did ask you guys in a poll a little earlier what you think about these Etsy listings and this whole situation. Is it absolutely horrifying, a little suspicious, or just a conspiracy theory? 50% of you are saying it's absolutely horrifying. 45% say a little suspicious, and only 5% think it's just a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, and I try to think like, okay, there's a very real possibility that nothing is going on here and that, these are just puzzle pieces being placed together and it is very much coincidental. And I'm still open to that. Just seems like none of the answers that have been given by, AP News or the Etsy representative that they, quoted in their article, they're not satisfactory, at least to me. And in an age where we know that this is happening on Instagram, on YouTube, on Kik, on WhatsApp, on any single platform where images like this can be traded, we know that men and predators are doing this. Why would it not be happening on a website like Etsy? Like, why are they safeguarded from the existence of disgusting people who want to share this sort of content? And
again, yeah, the mealy-mouthed sort of statement from Etsy, and then the a kind of overly dismissive nature from of the messaging from the media on this. It just, if anything, inspires more doubt and casts more doubt on the whole situation than it does actually give any sort of closure to it. And if there were a little bit more of a sincere and robust response on the part of the media and Etsy, then I think you could put this to bed pretty simply. But it doesn't seem like we're getting a lot of serious inquiry or transparency. It's just kind of like, yeah, nothing's happening as a bunch of conspiracy theorists, and that's only going to feed more conspiracy to come up in the absence of transparency, in the absence of facts, in the absence of open dialogue and investigation. So it would behoove them to just take this more seriously, and for whatever reason, it doesn't appear that that's what we're getting.
Yeah, you should probably clear that up and clear it up confidently and swiftly. But again, I can understand why, if you maybe did uncover something, you as a site would not want to say that's happening because it was happening under your, watchful eye with the content that's posted on the internet. And I don't think any platform is exempt from this sort of behavior taking place. You can name any social media platform, this stuff is happening on it. Some worse than others, like with the Wall Street Journal article about Instagram, they found that the algorithm was actually promoting child pornography being sent and traded between two different parties. So it's happening. Some of you mentioned in the comments, Twitter was, a huge platform for this stuff happening, and that is very much true. And it's interesting that this is sort of coming out and people are speculating on the heels of Jeffrey Epstein's little book, getting unsealed, it seems, or to some extent unsealed. This is from Daily Loud. It says over 170 people with links to Jeffrey Epstein will likely be named in the unsealed court docs in the upcoming weeks. 170. And I saw another statement that was put out on the internet that said one of them is going to be a public figure. One of them out of the 170 is going to be a public figure, which just signals to me, obviously, that there are far more than 170 people who were complicit in whatever it is that Jeffrey Epstein was doing, whoever it was that he was victimizing. And I'm going to guess that a lot more than one were public figures. And I think you're going to find judges. I think you're going to find law enforcement. We know you're going to find politicians because of who he has his ties with, the pictures that exist all over the internet of people that have surrounded him throughout the duration of his long criminal career exploiting children. And all of this, well, these suspicious, alleged photos of Etsy posts are circulating. So I'm curious. We'll see what happens when these 170 people are named. Is anybody going to go after them? There are going to be legal ramifications here. And who's the one public figure that is apparently going to be named in the coming weeks? You all know we waited a long time for this list to be released. And there's been so many calls from the public to know exactly who was involved with this, because it's a large ring of child exploitation, of sex trafficking, with multiple, you would think, agencies and institutions having to be complicit in these things happening, or at least individuals at those agencies and institutions having to be complicit in what he was doing. And now, way too late. We're getting 170 names. I know there's more. I know there's more than that. So we're going to wait and see what happens here. I'm curious to see how the public responds and what all is uncovered here. I was going to move on to other stories in today's show, but I feel like this maybe needs to stand on its own, and this can go. It doesn't make sense to move on and talk about other things when we're delving into this subject matter. Of course, let me know how you feel. I'm open to totally, misinterpreting the situation of what's being posted on this site, what's being, bought by the people who have this in their carts. I just wish the authority figures that be in this case, which would be Etsy, would do more than just a representative saying, yeah, no, they weren't selling anything and we took them down because the pricing was ridiculous. The pricing for what? The pricing for what? Okay, let's read your super chats, guys.
All right, guys. Let's go ahead. I'm pulling these up. If you didn't see, we would love to hear from you guys. Any thoughts, any reaction to today's show? This is also probably our last actual live stream until Christmas. So get them in while you
Yeah.
can. And Merry Christmas to all of you, by the way. Morgan Longan says, I usually watch these after the fact, but I had to jump on today because I tried to order sweaters on Etsy thrice this year and had to refund on all.
I wonder if they were just out of stock or what goes on there. I know it's like the Etsy is used by like private sellers. So they're just a website that hosts people who are selling their own like private crafts, creations, things like that. So I imagine there's a lot of room for error and things getting refunded or not arriving on time and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think you're mostly dealing with individuals, but if they want that 5-star review and future business, they should be treating you right. So I'm sorry to hear your transactions were not completed. MS says, Amala, on your video today about the Southwest dilemma, I totally agree. It's unfair to customers. Oversized people can travel by flatbed trailer. Okay.
Yeah, isn't that policy crazy? So yeah, if you guys missed that video, go check it out. It's the Southwest customer of size policy, where they say if you are an overweight customer for a Southwest airline and you show up and you realize you're going to need more than one seat, they'll give you a seat for free. Or if you go on a Southwest flight and you know you're going to need more than one seat and you purchase two, you can go on your trip and then call up Southwest and say, I purchased two seats because I'm overweight, and they'll refund you your second seat. That's wild. It's wild to me.
The Taylor Fan Club says, good evening, everyone. I wanted to ask this last stream, but it's $20 super chat wouldn't let me. Amala, can you do Jubilee's new Capitalism versus Communism?
Guys, that's going to be coming out soon. It is. We have done it. We have watched it, and it's going to be coming out. I'm going to see my family, so it's going to be coming out when I'm going to see my family sometime in between that and me coming back.
Stay tuned. It's coming.
Yes, it is.
And you're not the only person to have asked that. I saw a few chats today saying they wanted to see the new Jubilee reaction. So fear not, coming at you. RP Awareness Month says, hey there, gang. Amala, I just got to ask, why in the world you and Risa like rare steak? I'm not sure which bad habit is worse, rare steak or the 1975.
It's so funny. Yeah, no, my best friend Risa and I, whenever we go out to eat, yeah, we do love a rare steak. I don't know. I feel like that's the way that you eat steak. I don't know. I mean, to each their own, Charlize their own. But I do love a rare steak. I feel like it's the best way.
I can't do it. I'm a medium. A solid medium rare? I'm good. Like,
just medium,
not even medium rare, just like medium. Like,
wow.
I don't mind pink. I like the softness and stuff. Maybe a little bit of blood, but like, it's when I'm just like true chewing a raw animal meat, it's just like this. Not for me.
I can do rare, but not too rare. Like, I don't want it like blue or anything like that. But I'll do rare or medium rare. I'm not going medium or above. That's most definitely not what's happening. And I'm also not doing like a steak tartare. That's not happening. So. You know, I'm in the middle, kind of.
You don't want it mooing at you.
No, definitely not.
Let's see. SJ says, Amala, please tell me where you got your sweater or what the tag says. I know that's kind of random, but it's the sweater I've been hunting for.
Fashion Nova, baby.
You need to get sponsored by them. I feel like that's a common answer.
I need to be a Fashion Nova influencer. If you guys ever see a top that you like on this channel, it's probably from Fashion Nova, but feel free to ask.
Let's see. Celtic Blacksmith says, don't get it twisted. Child abuse boils my blood. But all this talk about pizza is making my fat ass hungry. And now I'm going for some stromboli. I'm making dough for some stromboli.
Hey, you know what? At least something good came out of this conversation. Yeah. It's just wild to me to see stuff like this on the internet. It blew my mind with the Instagram stuff because you could feel like, okay, yeah, it makes total sense that this is happening. Now with this, I'm just like, oh, it just makes your heart sink a little bit.
Yeah. I saw someone say they already ruined the rainbow and now they're taking pizza.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, geez. Jay Rankin says, watching you guys while riding on the ambulance at work. Can't watch all of it live, but keep it up. Oh. Well, you keep it up and hopefully keep saving people's lives because that sounds way more important.
I was like working on the ambulance, not riding in the ambulance as a victim of some sort. I'd hope. I hope you're working.
Right. I guess that should be clarified. Yeah.
Yes.
But
And if so, thank
I
you
don't
for doing
think,
what you do.
yes. Yeah. I don't think people are just casually catching rides on ambulances. So.
No, I don't think so.
All right. Let's see. Fashad 3 says, how do you think it is just a ring of perverts just trading on high profile people? No, sorry. Do you think it is just a ring of perverts just trading, or high profile people really spending this much money?
I would, if I had to guess, I'd say the former. It's just like people who are weird, who are doing this sort of stuff. There was some, I forget, I should have pulled it up for this, but there was some research done in the UK. The UK seems to be pretty forward on like researching this stuff, trying to combat it. I don't know whether or not that's true. For all the UK people listening right now, you can let me know in the comments down below. But they did some study where they had surveyed guys, I think anonymously, about what is, you know, the likelihood of them having sexual perversions towards children, what's the likelihood that they would act on him, and the number of men that admitted to feeling this way was astronomical. It was absolutely insane. I don't know the exact figures, so I'm not going to say them here because I don't want to be wrong, but it would blow your mind, the amount of men that said, if I could do something like this and get away with it and nobody would ever know, admitted that they would, or that they have thought about the possibility. Insane.
Yikes.
So it could be anybody. You never know. It could really be anybody.
Alex Slusher says, good day, Amala and Taylor. I'm making Christmas candy with my grandma today. That's so wholesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know. I can't wait to see my grandma and my mama and my brother and sister. It's going to be good.
Love that for you, Alex. Michael
that.
says, nothing, just sends $5 super chat. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Fright Assassin says, I just finished my master's and your show has been a big part of that. Thank you.
Whoa.
I wonder
Big
in
part
what
of
way.
your masters. Yeah. What do you mean? That's
you
crazy.
writing essays about contemporary issues and gleaning ideas and analysis?
That would be cool. Or are you just listening to us while you study?
Yeah, I was never able to do that. Like I could throw on some lo-fi or something like that while I study, but not like listen to podcasts or anything like that.
Me neither.
Can't pay attention to two things at once.
Distracting, yeah.
Like when I'm editing shorts, sometimes I'll put on like a movie in the background and the movie's over and I didn't even watch 2 seconds of it. 'Cause
Right.
It's just like, this is just, it takes all your
Right.
focus when you're editing. Anyways, Colosine says, this will be my last super chat for a while. Got to fix my transmission for 4 to 5K. So I'll be super chatting in spirit, but not with money. Merry Christmas.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, fix what needs fixing. Do not super chat us if you got stuff to do, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I hate that it's like a money thing, but you know, we have to filter. Like I wish I could read every single one of y'all's chats and comments. A lot of you guys put thoughtful stuff in the chat, and I try to pull some nuggets every once in a while, but you know, it's just the filtering mechanism, supply and demand, I guess, capitalism for you. That's darn greedy capitalists. But anyways, but thank you. We appreciate you and best of luck with your transmission. Olivia Hobbs says, hey from Australia. On my first live today, but just wanted to say I love your videos, and after first seeing you on Jubilee, I've converted to the right.
Whoa. Creating
so crazy.
conversion story. That is so crazy for me to hear. You know what? I'm glad that it made you question things or whatever. I don't know that, you know, we have to convert fully to the right, but I admire the fact that you had an open mind and that some of your ideas have changed in the finding of this content. And I'll be back on Jubilee soon. Not my favorite episode. Honestly, I filmed it and I was like, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but we'll see. I'll be back.
We'll see. Yes, we are always happy when people come out of dogma and into more free thinking. So we celebrate that.
That's
and
awesome.
Glad to be a part of it. Celtic Blacksmith says, dude, I already made an account on Etsy in anticipation of selling my work. I should list a cheese pizza file for 10K and then just send them my pizza dough recipe, LMFAO.
Yeah, I mean,
Be a fly on that wall.
that might be a way to figure out what's going on. I don't know, y'all. All the pages are gone though, so there's never going to be any way to get down to the bottom of that.
Well, yeah, thankfully.
Yeah.
I guess thankfully that they're gone. Not
that you can't get down to the bottom of
people
it.
accountable. Yeah.
Right.
Why You Here says, hey babes, bit unrelated, but how do you both feel about the new Minnesota flag? I think it's an ugly design, but Republican Twitter made it a bigger thing than it is. XOXO.
I didn't see a new Minnesota
see this?
flag.
I saw that they redesigned it. I don't know what the catalyst for a redesign was. Let me know if you know in the chat. But Minnesota just had like an old flag from the 1800s, and they just redesigned it. Yeah, you can
Oh, I see
throw
it.
that on. You guys want to see it?
Yeah, I'm new.
So I know Minnesota, like there's some symbolism with like the North Star, which is a big part of like Minnesota history and culture. Some people were saying that
Oops.
it uses the same colors as the flag of Somalia, because there's a massive immigrant population from Somalia in Minnesota now. Yeah.
Huh.
But I don't know. My biggest question is like, why did we need to do this? Was the old flag considered racist or inadequate or something, or was it like just this random thing we decided to do? In general, I'm in favor of holding on to tradition, and if we're not doing that, then whatever you're making to replace that should more reflect the history and heritage of the place that you are representing.
Right.
And I'm saying all this as a Minnesotan, by the way. I mean, I was born in Minnesota, and I'm a big Vikings fan and grew up going there every single winter. So, anyways, that's how I feel about it. Do you have any thoughts on the Minnesota flag?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I have to look into why the things were changed. The old flag featured the state seal, which features a white settler plowing a field in the foreground while a Native American man on horseback rides away into the sunset. So maybe that's what they wanted to change. I don't know. It just seems like it's lost character to me.
Yeah, it seems less interesting.
Yeah. But alas. Very
Interesting
strange.
times. And then meanwhile, I saw like at the Arlington Cemetery, they're taking down the like reunification monument, which isn't even a Confederate monument. It's like celebrating the reunification of the country of post World War or post Civil War. Strange things afoot.
It's always weird to just like change historical symbols like that. You should probably just leave them be, in my opinion.
Same here. Jaded Warehouse says, my brother works for Southwest and they don't have assigned seating. That's the only reason I can see them doing that. Everyone sits where they want.
Right, but then I'm picturing if you have a full flight and then a passenger says, I need 2 seats, then what are you going to do? And I think the article did, to some extent, say that you would be accommodated, like, regardless of whether or not your flight is full or however that works. Even so, it's just like if you give somebody a free seat, don't you have to charge a higher for the other seats since you're effectively just throwing $100, $200 out the window by giving somebody free accommodation?
It's a trade-off. Yeah. A seat is the economic unit of the airline industry. And if certain passengers get 2 when everyone else has to pay for 1, that comes at the expense of the other passengers. It's just basic math and economics. So it's just inherently unjust. Christine Chianchi says, hi from the Czech Republic. When it looks predatory, it usually is. So much slips under the radar when SMTH is clocked, so it shouldn't be dismissed. Better paranoid than to let a child suffer.
Yeah, I'm like, this needs to be looked into. I'm not going to go crazy and start like screaming from the rooftops that they're selling CP on Etsy or anything like that, but I am going to at least, lay out the stuff that's been compiled and make the case for why it's possible.
Let's see. RP Awareness says, hey, did you guys hear that Colorado took Trump off the primary ballot? It's crazy to see the links they're willing to go just to stop him. K Loco.
I did. I'm curious to see if it sticks or, where this all goes. I'm playing the waiting game and just watching, seeing what happens. I think there's no extent to which they won't go to stop this guy from being able to run. I fear.
Yeah, it's inherent. It's just like facially a crazy thing to do. I mean, I saw Marco Rubio tweet that we have sanctioned other countries for doing the same thing within their own countries because it's like fundamentally undemocratic to like remove someone who's running from the ballot. And I've seen that it's probably going to go to the Supreme Court and probably not be upheld there. But just a crazy thing that,
Right.
that was something that their Supreme Court in Colorado was willing to do. Just wild, man. The Taylor fan club again says, remember when ISIS was recruiting young girls to leave home and become wives for ISIS members? Crazy to think that people view this any differently.
Yeah, I mean, like any group of people that is getting up to just like horrible criminal acts of terrorism, anything you can think of, the internet mobilizes them further. So why would you not use what is a a huge tool that is right there at your disposal, of course they're going to use that for recruiting or selling content or, you know, getting people to do certain things. The internet is always used for both good and bad.
Tabitha Vance just says, just doing my part to fund the show. Love y'all to bits.
Thank you. That's so very sweet. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Tabitha. Amy Love says, Merry Christmas, Amala and Taylor. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you.
Christmas. Do I get my little star thingy? Merry Christmas. Here we go.
You need some like jingle bells or something. Gaming is Beauty says, would like to see you and Taylor try a mukbang podcast. Oh my gosh.
I don't think you would. I won't be able to talk. Well, if I'm eating, I'm eating. I'm not going to be trapped.
We have done something fairly close to that when we did like the spicy game.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, what was it called? Hot Takes.
Hot Takes.
You try to debate topics while having extremely spicy hot sauce, increasingly so. And it's hard to concentrate on making your points.
I want to know, I can understand there's like an appeal to mukbanging, but I also want you guys to drop in the comments, like why are things more entertaining when people are eating whilst talking to you? Like what is your specific drive for watching that? Because it's huge. Like the content is all over the place. I see girls on TikTok that get like 2 million likes for like eating Wingstop in their car and stuff. So I'm like, and they're not even talking. They're just eating.
Okay, is it about the food or is it about like oh, that food looks good and that's cool? Or is it like a fetish thing or is it just funny?
At first I thought it was like a fetish thing, but then I look inside, I'll look in the comments of these girls on TikTok who are doing it, and it's like other girls who are like, that looks so good, or like, I need to go get Wingstop, or like, you make the food look so good, or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well maybe it's just because people just like watching other people eat food. Maybe it's like a communal thing. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't get this generation. It's like, to me, same thing as like when all these TikToks of people who are always doing their makeup or like, you know, getting ready or whatever while they're like talking. I'm like, you're having to like sit there and like do different takes, like of you making your point and cutting and starting over again. Like the activity you're doing is not passive. You're doing it as part of a performance in order to make you look more natural, but it's actually less natural than if you just be like talking, setting your phone down, making the TikTok, and then getting back to whatever you're doing. But maybe that's just the boomer millennial in me.
I think it is.
That think that strikes that as weird. But I don't know. Is that weird to you guys? Let me know in the chat.
I'm like, if girls were getting together to like go out on for a night on the town, they'd be doing their makeup together and like shooting the shit. That's what girls would be doing. So it's like a pseudo version of that you get to watch on TikTok and you know, like I guess invest your time in. I think it's like a distillation.
So the effort is to like make it feel relatable and like capture that sentiment, not so much that it actually is like more natural
100%
to make.
100%.
Okay. Weird.
Weird.
Okay. Sorry guys, gotten a little sidetracked there. RP Awareness says, Amelie, you should use the voice modifier more. I hope you guys have a great Christmas. Estou escrevendo isso em português só para fazer Taylor ler isso.
Whoa.
I'm writing this in Portuguese just to make Taylor read this.
Nice. Yeah, cool. This felt like a weird episode to use voice modification on, I'm not gonna lie, but in future ones we will we'll do that.
Yeah, that probably would have been a little creepy.
Yes, it would have.
Hazy Kuribo says, Merry Christmas to my favorite parasocial relationship. So glad I found the channel this year.
That's what's up. I don't know how I feel about it.
There are worse parasocial relationships you
I
could
guess
have.
so, guys. I guess so. I don't know. It makes me sound like an enabler.
We're the parasocial relationship that will tell you to go have real relationships and not to rely too much on one parasocial relationship.
At the very least, we'll do that.
Hopefully.
Yeah, at the very least.
Cyber Bacon, and I think this might be our last one, says, hi guys, I recently quit my manager job in order to pursue my passion, photography. You guys have been my inspiration and role models. Learned so many things from y'all. Happy holidays. Also, the 1975 rocks.
Oh, nice.
What a nice
message
comment
to end the show on. And I'm glad that you are pursuing your passion and going for it. That's awesome. Not many people are brave enough to take that step in life. So I love that for you. Keep going.
I love it. Yeah. And I think that was our last one. So thank you guys.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for watching the show. I'm headed on a flight to go see my family tonight, which I'm so excited for. I hope we all get the chance to be surrounded by those who love us over this holiday season / holiday break. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this was a heavy episode, but hopefully you maybe learned something, or maybe it was something worth at least talking about and putting on this platform for other people to find and discuss. As always, leave your comments and thoughts in the comments down below. And if you disagree with me, duke it out, but do so respectfully. Plus, if you like this video, like, subscribe, click the notification bell to be notified every single time we post a video for you guys, which is every single day. Tomorrow's episode is about me watching that new Obama-produced film, Leave the World Behind, letting you know how I scored it, how I felt about it, maybe some thoughts that it evoked for me, and I'm curious to hear from you guys on that one too, so keep an eye out tomorrow. And with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.